Brosifs and brosettes, this is the final week. In a few days, we'll have access to buying SpaceX. In this video, we're gonna go over historic IPOs and their inevitable behavior, how indexes are changing the rules for SpaceX, why you'll be forced to buy SpaceX even if you don't want to, a clarification on the IPO and having access to it that I was talking about in the last video, and finally, my game plan moving forward. Let's go. I'm a numbers guy, so I like to look at data, stats, all the things that most people don't really care about. So I Googled previous historic IPOs where it got in at a set number and then it blew up in price. And I wanted to look at what happens to the chart. Two stocks that I don't have listed that blew up in price at IPO is Saudi Aramco because it's not traded on our market, and then Baidu. And I'll consider that an outlier because it's a Chinese-based company. So we've got charts for Snowflake, Circle, and Beyond Meat. If we look at the charts, we see that it comes in at a set price, it blows up that day, and then meanders around a little bit, and then about 1 month later, we see the biggest blow up situation and then a sell-off because people are taking profits at this point. So the saying is, history doesn't always repeat itself, but it certainly does rhyme. And that information is gonna come in handy later because I'm gonna talk about IPO access. So keep in mind 30 days and stay tuned for that information. Okay, so you have exchanges like the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, the Chicago, whatever. And then within that, you have indexes. So we're looking at a smaller subsection of the entire market. So you can have an index that just focuses on materials, energy, technology. Typically speaking, you have to wait a certain amount of days before you can be added to an index. So for instance, if you're new to the game, you're a new stock, you're not just gonna be put in the S&P 500 right off the bat, even if the company's doing very well. You have a set amount of days that you have to wait before you can get added. They are changing the rules for SpaceX. I don't know what the normal wait time is off the top of my head, but I believe I read in the S1 filing for SpaceX, after 15 days of trading, SpaceX can be added to the Russell 100 or the NASDAQ 100. They're changing the rules for SpaceX so it can get in faster. And this is what I mean by you have to buy into SpaceX even if you don't want to. If you happen to be in a particular retirement fund that features the NASDAQ 100, let's say, and SpaceX enters the NASDAQ 100, these institutions will have to buy SpaceX so it matches what the index is doing. And so I want to take you back to another chart. Look at what happened the day that Tesla was added to the S&P 500. It was December 21st, around there, 2020. So we could see a potential blow up situation in price. 15 days later, a bigger blow up situation in price because it's being added to the index. Some people like to say there's no such thing as easy money, but if everyone is buying in and then other people are forced to buy in because it gets added to different indexes, then this is easy money. But I don't want to say it. You didn't hear that from me. I did not say that because I am not giving you financial advice. Don't even listen to what I'm saying. Don't even believe the words that are coming out of my mouth right now. I'm just in my own fantasy world, imagining what the price could do. I have no idea what's going to actually happen. Okay, so now as far as the clarification goes, I said that Vanguard is not going to be participating in the IPO, which is still true, but I also said you might have to wait X amount of days before you can buy into it on Vanguard. Now, here's the truth. These companies who are participating in the IPO, it only means that you have access to buy before everybody else does. So think about it as being a privately held company. You and I did not have access because it was a privately held company. Then there's a phase in which you have access to buying the shares at IPO price, which is like the pre-game, if you will. And then there's the day that the actual stock gets listed on the exchange. So if you're not on this list, you have to wait for somebody to sell their shares and then you can buy. So let's say you're on Vanguard and before June 12th, everybody has bought up all the available shares that there were to buy up in the IPO process. And so as soon as it's listed, nobody's selling. Vanguard users, if I'm understanding this correctly, there's nothing to buy yet. You have to wait for somebody to sell those shares to the market, and then that's when you can come in. So technically speaking, as long as you are ready to go June 12th, you could buy up shares on Vanguard. You just don't have early access to it as these companies that I've already listed have. And fingers crossed, I'm gonna have enough time to create a video that shows you how to get the IPO access on Robinhood, Schwab, and I can show you where to go on Fidelity because I've already tried this, but I have less than $2,000 in both my accounts that I have on Fidelity, so I can't actually access the IPO because that was the minimum requirement. So look for that video. I'm gonna try to post it for you as soon as I can if you have Schwab, Robinhood, or Fidelity. And last but not least, here's the game plan. As soon as I have some free time today, I'm going to be recording the video on how to access the IPO. So that's step one. I want to have access to the $135 per share right now that they have for IPO. Number two, because you're doing IPO, and maybe this is only for Robinhood, but it makes sense that they have it for everybody. You have to hold for 30 days, which is perfect for me because around the 15-day mark, it's gonna be added to another index. It's gonna have another blow fluctuation in price. And then we typically see a month later, people start to take profits. So I'm gonna have to be holding SpaceX from the IPO price for about 30 days, which is, again, chef's kiss for me because that's the exact time I wanna get out. But I'm not getting out 100%. What I'm gonna do is keep 50% of my shares that I accumulate at IPO price and let that sucker ride. The other 50%, I am banking, taking profit, and looking for my next available opportunity. Let me know in the comments what you guys are doing. Are you excited? Are you getting hyphy for the IPO? For SpaceX? Have you already signed up for your shares, whatever platform you're on? Share this video with people who are getting excited about the IPO. And again, if you have never invested and you want to, you got to get information. Check out my investor's guide for beginners. Link is going to be there for you in the description. And I also have a free preview. If you're on the fence about, well, what if I don't like it? As soon as I buy it, I'm gonna be upset. So look at the free preview. It's gonna break down what all the different topics are. You're gonna see the layout of it, and then you can make an educated decision if you want to buy the full thing, which is basically the price of 2 coffees. And you're gonna get access to the monthly giveaways. So we have multiple people who are eligible, but still nobody's claiming. The last jackpot is gonna be $100. Normally it's just $25, but it's still gonna be $100. I want somebody to call my bluff. If you don't think I'm gonna send you the money, wait for the text at the end of the month and call my bluff. Until the next one, remember to smile because you are beautiful. Peace.